The stars were indifferent, cold pinpricks in the vast black canvas of space. Humanity had spread into this darkness, small clusters of colonies clinging to life like fragile lanterns in the night. On Vera Prime, a lush world far beyond the borders of the Galactic Empire's main territories, humans had carved out a thriving society, one that valued ingenuity, morality, and the persistence of life against impossible odds. The Empire's scouts had long dismissed the colony as insignificant, an inconvenient bump in a galaxy already crowded with more imposing civilizations. They did not know that the people of Vera Prime had cultivated something far more dangerous than technology, an unbreakable resolve. The general, though faceless to those who would later record the tale, moved among his people with a presence that demanded neither attention nor awe, only trust. Soldiers drilled in quiet coordination, children played near the edges of forests untouched by machinery, and traders bargained with a precise, almost ritualistic rhythm. Everything had purpose, every movement designed to preserve life and knowledge. In the quiet corners of the colony, the general observed the fruits of human civilization, libraries of human history, laboratories where science bent the rules of matter, and gardens where plants had been coaxed to survive with minimal resources. These were the small miracles of human persistence. The peace was fragile, as all peace is when shadowed by ambition. The scouts of the Galactic Empire had reported the humans, noting their industriousness, their uncanny ability to adapt and survive. To the Empire, humanity was merely a curiosity, a species to be catalogued, underestimated, and dismissed. They did not anticipate the consequences of their underestimation. Then came the first wave. It was not a diplomatic gesture, nor an attempt at negotiation, only the raw, overwhelming force of creatures that seemed to have abandoned the very concept of civility. The bugs, as humans would come to call them, descended in shapes that mocked organic understanding. Carapaces that glinted with unnatural light, limbs that twisted in impossible angles, and mouths that could shred metal as easily as flesh. Vera Prime screamed under the assault. Cities that had stood for decades were reduced to molten skeletons of concrete and steel. The general coordinated defenses with calm precision, issuing commands over crackling comlinks, each decision made with the knowledge that lives depended on him. Despite their courage, the humans were outmatched. The bugs moved with coordination that was alien in its perfection, overwhelming the defenses faster than the humans could adapt. Soldiers fought with everything they had, yet each victory was fleeting. Civilians were ferried to shelters, some surviving the initial wave, others falling into chaos and death. The general himself barely escaped an ambush in the outer districts, pulling survivors from wreckage that had moments before been homes. Every life saved came at the cost of another, and the weight of command pressed on him like the gravity of a dying star. As the battle raged, the bugs seemed almost to mock the very notion of civilized war. They did not give quarter, did not negotiate surrender, did not attempt restraint. They were a force of destruction, a biological certainty that preyed on anything that moved. The general, watching from a command shuttle as the city below burned, felt a fury coiled inside him, not the mindless rage of instinct, but the focused, burning will of humanity itself. There would be no civilized war with them, he thought. They had rejected that code, and in doing so, they had awakened a new form of human response, one that would not adhere to conventions of honor, but would wield cunning, strategy, and morality in equal measure. The escape from Vera Prime was a fragmented affair. The general and a small contingent of soldiers and civilians slipped through corridors of molten metal and falling debris, using navigation channels no one else had thought to exploit. Small ships, hastily repaired or commandeered, lifted off under the shadow of a burning world. The human survivors carried with them what they could salvage: books, tools, records, and memories. Every item was a testament to their civilization, something to preserve against the encroaching darkness of the Empire's indifference. The Empire, in its distant observation, regarded the loss of life with detached satisfaction. Reports streamed back to the high councils, numerical confirmations of human inferiority. The bugs had won the day. They had proven, in the eyes of the Empire, that humans were a species to be manipulated, exploited, or destroyed at leisure. Yet the reports could not capture the quiet defiance that simmered among the survivors. It could not measure the seed of vengeance that had taken root, nor the meticulous plotting of minds that would no longer be underestimated. Aboard a damaged cruiser drifting in the cold void, the general convened with his closest advisors. They were battered, tired, and haunted by the scenes of Vera Prime's fall, yet their resolve was palpable. Maps were laid out, data analyzed, and contingencies discussed. Every human decision was deliberate. Every move calculated not merely for survival, but for the eventual reclamation of dignity, territory, and justice. This was the first lesson of HFY. The strength of humanity was not measured in numbers or brute force, but in adaptability, strategy, and moral clarity under extreme pressure. While the general directed operations, he reflected on what had been lost and what must be rebuilt. The humans had long been underestimated by the galaxy because their strengths were subtle, nuanced, and difficult to quantify. Other species measured power in weapons, fleets, and raw aggression. Humans measured it in resilience, innovation, and an uncanny ability to turn the most dire circumstances into opportunity. The massacre on Vera Prime had revealed the depth of human vulnerability, but it had also revealed the potential for unprecedented human ingenuity. Survivors were scattered across nearby systems, small enclaves of humanity eking out life in hidden pockets, repairing what they could, documenting their history, and planning the next steps. The general visited each enclave in turn, speaking not to inspire through force or spectacle, but through the quiet gravity of understanding. He reminded them of what it meant to be human, to endure, to think, to create even when all else is lost. The aliens could destroy cities, they could crush bodies, they could overwhelm defenses, but they could not annihilate the spark of human intellect or the cohesion of human morale. In communications relayed across the survivors, the general's words carried a calm yet unyielding weight. There would be no surrender, no capitulation, no compromise with beings who had rejected the principles of civilized engagement. This was a new epoch for humanity, born from ashes and suffering. They would rebuild, not in the fragile likeness of the past, but in a form sharpened by necessity, tempered by loss, and driven by the certainty that they would never again be treated as expendable. As the survivors established temporary strongholds, small acts of human ingenuity became symbols of defiance. Automated systems were repaired using spare parts scavenged from alien vessels. Food was cultivated in hydroponic systems rigged from remnants of destroyed colonies. Defense drones were reprogrammed to anticipate alien tactics, turning captured technology against the invaders. Every action was a testament to human adaptability and the refusal to be dominated by fear. The Empire, confident in its victory, paid little attention to these scattered human enclaves. To them, the humans were broken, scattered like leaves in the void, a species temporarily inconvenienced. The bugs, having executed the massacre, retreated to their hives, leaving behind only devastation as proof of their power. They did not account for the quiet, meticulous rebuilding occurring in the shadows. They did not anticipate that each small act of resistance would accumulate, forming a network of human ingenuity capable of challenging the very foundations of imperial overconfidence. The general, in his private moments aboard his command ship, reflected on what had been lost. Families, friends, entire communities wiped out in an instant. Yet within that reflection was a spark of clarity. Survival alone was insufficient. Humanity had been humiliated, yes, but the humiliation was a catalyst, a forge for the mind and spirit. The general vowed silently, the words forming in the cold darkness of space. No more civilized war. The humans would fight differently, with cunning, strategy, and morality, exploiting weaknesses the aliens could never anticipate. They would redefine the rules of engagement, not through cruelty, but through intellect and unyielding resolve. The first messages sent to distant colonies were coded in layers of encryption and misdirection. Scouts were dispatched not merely to observe, but to test, to map, and to learn the alien tendencies. Every encounter, even the smallest, was a lesson in strategy. The humans adapted quickly, learning from each skirmish, refining their techniques. The Empire's arrogance was their own undoing. They believed the humans would remain reactive rather than proactive, underestimating the species' capacity to innovate in the face of existential threat. Over weeks, survivors began to coalesce into coordinated groups, each operating semi-independently but guided by shared principles. Protect life, exploit knowledge, and prepare for the eventual confrontation. The general strategy was clear: do not engage recklessly, do not yield to vengeance that blinds judgment, and always turn disadvantage into advantage. Human history had shown time and again that the species could endure worse than annihilation, emerging stronger, more adaptable, and more cohesive. This was the essence of the HFY principle, the quiet, persistent superiority of human resilience and intellect against the odds. The humans scattered across the void were no longer victims. They were a network of survivors, quietly coalescing into a force defined by purpose rather than size. Each enclave, hidden on remote planets and orbital stations, became a hub of ingenuity. Engineers scavenged remnants of alien ships, converting unknown alloys into hull reinforcements and weaponry. Scientists adapted alien energy systems, testing experimental propulsion that would give them a tactical advantage in future encounters. Even the children, trained in simulation exercises, learned to anticipate patterns of attack, their minds sharpened by necessity. The general observed all of this with the detached precision of a commander, recognizing in every act of adaptation the seeds of a human resurgence. Information became their lifeblood. Scouts moved silently through asteroid belts and uncharted systems, mapping alien supply lines and communication networks. Each report fed into a central strategy, a web of knowledge designed to exploit every weakness the bugs had unwittingly revealed during their massacre of Vera Prime. The Empire had assumed humans would retreat, demoralized and fragmented. They had not calculated the species' unique ability to learn faster than they were attacked, to turn even their deepest wounds into tools for survival. Human philosophy, often dismissed by other civilizations as sentimentality, became their secret weapon. Discussions aboard command ships, in subterranean labs, and on distant moons revolved around ethics, morality, and strategy in equal measure. Some feared that vengeance might corrupt them, but the general's quiet voice reminded them that intelligence without purpose is chaos. Their response would be precise, measured, and devastating, not because it was cruel, but because it was effective. The aliens would learn, to their astonishment, that humans did not fight like any other species in the galaxy. Small victories began to accumulate. A transport vessel lost in a skirmish was recovered, its systems reverse-engineered to produce stealth drones capable of infiltrating alien communication relays. Supply convoys intercepted on the outskirts of the Empire's territory were used to fuel forward operations, turning enemy arrogance into human advantage. These successes were incremental, almost invisible to the Empire, yet they laid the foundation for something greater, a web of operations that could strike anywhere at any time. The general oversaw it all, not from the front lines, but from within the calculated safety of command centers designed to maximize his perspective. He did not need recognition or accolades. His satisfaction came from watching humans operate as a cohesive organism, each mind anticipating the next, each decision honed by necessity and intellect. The first major coordinated strike was meticulously planned, a test not of brute strength but of strategy. Human fighters engaged alien patrols in distant systems, luring them into ambushes where environmental hazards, asteroid clusters, magnetic storms, artificial debris fields, became tools of war. The bugs had been efficient killers, but they were predictable in their patterns, and humans were patient. The first battle to demonstrate human ingenuity was small by galactic standards, barely a ripple in the Empire's records, yet its significance could not be measured in numbers alone. The aliens, caught off guard, lost several ships without inflicting casualties on human survivors. Observers across human enclaves noted the success, morale rising like the sun over a horizon that had once been blackened by despair. The general's voice, calm over encrypted channels, reminded them that this was only a beginning. Victory was not measured in a single engagement. It was measured in the capacity to endure, adapt, and outthink a foe that had considered humans inferior. As weeks turned into months, human enclaves developed specialized units. Some focused on intelligence gathering, using captured alien devices to intercept communications. Others focused on sabotage, learning the intricacies of alien supply networks to disrupt resource flow without direct confrontation. Engineers experimented with hybrid propulsion systems, combining human ingenuity with alien tech to create vessels capable of speeds the bugs had not yet encountered. The survivors were no longer simply surviving. They were evolving, sharpening the tools of war with a precision that was almost surgical. The general observed these developments with satisfaction tempered by caution. He understood that the Empire would eventually respond in force. Every tactic humans devised had to be scalable, every defense robust enough to withstand retaliation. Even in moments of quiet, he considered the broader picture, the potential for diplomacy, for alliances with neutral species, for strikes that could alter the balance of power without descending into indiscriminate destruction. The HFY principle remained their guiding star. Humans fight smarter, not necessarily harder, and always with an awareness of consequence. Among the survivors, ideological differences occasionally surfaced. Some demanded immediate, brutal retribution for the massacre of Vera Prime. Others argued for patience, emphasizing intelligence gathering and strategic preparation over impulse. These debates, though intense, never fragmented the human network. Instead, they honed it, forcing leaders and soldiers alike to weigh morality against effectiveness, ethics against necessity. The general's guidance was simple but profound. Revenge alone is blind. Justice guided by intellect and principle is unstoppable. A turning point came when scouts discovered a previously unknown hive of alien activity near a minor star cluster. The bugs had established a command outpost, not yet fully fortified, vulnerable to precise strikes. The general saw this as an opportunity not merely to disrupt, but to test the operational capacity of the human network. Multiple enclaves were mobilized simultaneously, executing a coordinated strike that required absolute timing, communication, and trust. The engagement was dangerous, but humans had learned to thrive in danger, transforming the chaos of space into a strategic ally. The strike was a success. Alien vessels were destroyed or captured, their technology analyzed and repurposed. Human engineers worked tirelessly to integrate alien systems with their own, creating hybrid weapons that exploited weaknesses no species had yet anticipated. The general knew that these incremental gains were the key to the eventual reclamation of dignity and territory. Each victory was a lesson, a proof of concept demonstrating that humans, underestimated and fragmented, could operate with cohesion surpassing even the most centralized alien command structures. During quieter moments, the general reflected on the philosophical implications of their resurgence. Humanity had been tested to the brink, yet each act of adaptation reinforced a profound truth. Intelligence, creativity, and moral clarity are as lethal as fleets and weapons. The Empire had assumed that the massacre of Vera Prime had broken the species. In reality, it had forged them into something stronger, sharper, and more determined. The bugs had rejected civilized war, and in doing so, they had unwittingly sparked the evolution of human warfare, a style that would not replicate theirs, but surpass it in cunning and resilience. Even in the darkest reaches of space, where human outposts were few and vulnerable, communities began to thrive in ways the Empire did not expect. Hydroponic farms powered by repurposed alien energy cells fed isolated populations. Communication nodes built from scavenged tech allowed humans to coordinate across light years with speed the Empire considered impossible. Each small success reinforced the HFY principle. Humans endure, adapt, and rise when all odds seem insurmountable. The general's plans extended beyond mere retaliation. He envisioned a campaign that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of human potential. Humans would no longer be dismissed as weak, expendable, or primitive. Every mission, every encounter, was a step toward demonstrating the species' unique combination of intelligence, strategy, and moral principle. The Empire's arrogance, once a shield for them, would become their undoing. In secret, humans began preparing the first large-scale counteroffensive. Fleet formations were tested in simulations against the alien tactics learned from months of observation. Weapons systems were calibrated, hybrid technologies integrated, and personnel trained to execute maneuvers that leveraged human creativity over sheer firepower. The general's instructions emphasized one central tenet: strike with precision, exploit weakness, and always anticipate the enemy's assumptions. Humanity had been underestimated before; it would not happen again. The months of preparation culminated in small, audacious operations. Supply depots were disrupted, alien patrols ambushed, and information networks infiltrated. Each victory, though minor in isolation, demonstrated to the survivors that their efforts were meaningful. Morale soared. The humans were no longer reacting to the Empire's aggression; they were shaping the battlefield itself. Every operation reinforced the principle that intellect, creativity, and coordination could overcome even overwhelming odds.